Okay, so if you've been watching the news lately, you have probably heard a lot about Denver's affordable housing program. And I'm here to offer you my perspective as a real estate agent on this program and what's going on and give you a little bit of my insight. So, the Denver's affordable housing program is called the Inclusionary Housing Ordinance, and it requires that anytime a developer is doing more than 30 units, that 10% of those units are available for low income buyers, and they're considered affordable housing, and they stay affordable through covenant controls that only allows them to appreciate 3.5% per year. Okay, so all the houses in question are mostly in Green Valley Ranch, Stapleton, and Lowry, and they were not properly transferred. So basically, when they were sold from like Oakwood Homes or the developers, they were an affordable unit, and so they got them at a discounted price, and they were meant to stay affordable, usually 20 to 30 years. The covenant makes them affordable. However, after they started changing hands, no one realized that they were part of the affordable program and the covenants weren't kept, and a lot of people bought houses at market value, and the city's coming back to them saying, no, you can't sell that, you're out of compliance with the covenants, and this was only so if you bought it for $250 market value, actually covenant control would make this only worth like $180. So a lot of people are getting notices from the city saying that they owe the city money and they weren't given notice that they were buying this income restricted property. So there's so many issues here, and there's a lot of finger pointing. Who's to blame? So let's talk it through. First of all, let's talk about real estate agents. So unless it's disclosed to a real estate agent by the seller or the title company, there's really no way for a real estate agent to know if a home is part of the affordable housing program. 9 News did this really good article, and it's linked in my newsletter, about how you can find out if these units are affordable. And it's like this 9-step process of going through the city property records, and then the chain of title and the Office of Economic Development. Like, this isn't stuff that is typically done during a transaction. So when they set up the programs, they weren't really thinking about real estate agents and how would I know if someone came to me and they're like, I want to sell my house. That's not typical for me to go and research if it's an affordable, and there's really no way for me to even find that information out. That's because, if you bought an affordable house, they don't want to stigmatize you, and if your neighbor didn't, and then it makes you look poor. And so I understand why it's not publicly available data, and that's some of the pushback. So are title companies to blame? Well, the city set up the program to be transferred by covenants, and covenants are like HOA documents. And so when the title companies generally exclude coverage from anything that is related to covenants, and they put that in an exclusions category of the title policy. And for even a trained real estate professional, reading these title policies is extremely difficult. So if the city really wanted the title company to catch this, the best way that they could have set up this program would be to have some information on the deed, because the deed is actually what the real estate agents and the title companies look at. But because they set up this program as part of the covenants, just the way that they set up the paper, it's something that title companies are going to exclude, and that a real estate agent wouldn't know about. So it could have been set up differently. If title insurance policies miss this completely altogether, like as in they didn't even put it in the exclusions, then they missed something when they were searching, and then it could be they are held at fault. Okay, so if real estate agents have no way of knowing it's affordable unless the seller discloses, and the title company generally always doesn't cover covenants under their policies, then the only person that's really left to shoulder some blame is the city of Denver. So in my opinion, the city did a really poor job setting up this program with no checks and balances that would trigger buyers, sellers, real estate agents, title companies, that this even existed when homes were transferred. So the enforcement of the program was left up to sellers. And unfortunately, sellers are not incentivized to tell their agent that they are going to take a highly reduced purchase price for their property because they're part of this program. So the way that it was established just wasn't intuitive. It wasn't smart. It didn't align with people's incentives. Because it just so dramatically decreases your profits when you own an affordable home when you go to sell it. So it's the city's responsibility to ensure compliance with this. They established the program, they want affordable housing, so it's really their job. And I think it's time for them to stand up and shoulder this. And for all those people who bought homes unknowingly, 300 people who were never notified and didn't qualify for these homes, I think they should get to own them free and clear, because the city of Denver really messed this up. They did not establish a good program. And actually, in 2017, the Inclusionary Housing Ordinance changed again, so we have a completely new beast on our hands, and we'll see how that unfolds. But I think that we can definitely get it right in the future by just doing some really common sense things, like having a database for real estate agents to go and verify if something's low income, and having it in the deed and making it a special warranty deed so the title company realizes when they go to sell. So if you want my advice, I will tell you honestly to avoid the affordable housing program like a plague. It is bad news. In my opinion, it keeps poor people poor. You have to make under a certain amount to qualify for this program, which is sad when you're trying to make less money in order to qualify for a benefit. I think everyone should be trying to make as much money as they can. And then your appreciation of your house is capped at 3.5% per year. And we've been seeing 8, 9, 10% appreciation in the Denver market. And so this just keeps these people who are already at a little bit of a disadvantage. They're making less money than their counterparts. And now at the end of the day, at the end of 20 years, at the end of 30 years, they go to sell and they make almost nothing compared to the person next door to them who bought a slightly more expensive home. And now we have this major gap between the lower income person and the person who bought just a market value home. So I think it's good that this has all happened to bring this into the light of how devastating it can be to own an affordable home when you go to sell it. That's the one thing, good thing that has come from that, is that maybe people will have more awareness about how this is incentivizing people and how it's keeping poor people poor. The guy at the center of the story, his home, the market value of it was $328,000. And if the program would have been in place and properly executed, his house, the restricted income value of it is $282,000. So, if you're the poorer person that buys the more affordable house through the program, you are literally losing out on $46,000 of appreciation. And if the city's trying to help people who are at a disadvantage, who aren't making as much money, then they should give them that appreciation and maybe just help them with a down payment, get into a house or something. But keeping these low-income people poor is not helping them, and it's not helping the city, and it's really just a real estate disaster for everyone. So I hope this was informative. I would love to hear all of your comments, even if you disagree with me. Throw them out there and let me know what you think.